Welcome to Leaders in Next. Dan and I are your hosts, and we're proud alumni of the University of Michigan, passionate supporters of both the university and the athletics program and the student athletes. We created Leaders in Next with a goal of being a different type of podcast. Instead of only focusing on the X's and O's, we want to highlight the whole student athlete, exploring their journey to Michigan and better understanding who they are on, and also off the field. Please visit our website at www.leadersinnext.com for more information and follow us on Instagram. Today's episode is presented by American Built USA. American Built is a really cool veteran-owned company. Every aspect of the apparel they create takes place in the United States. Not only is it manufactured in America, but the raw materials are gathered in America as well. The cotton for American Built clothing comes from the southern U.S., it's manufactured in California, and then it's shipped to their headquarters in Pocatello, Idaho.
Let's see the shirt, Dad. Let's see it.
Oh, yeah. It's Michigan built. Little Andrew Gentry. They got to deal with one of our recent guests, Andrew Gentry. I think Andrew goes with the size triple XL. I'm going to guess Zeke goes with a medium, maybe. So you can find Andrew's shirt through American Built's website. So go to AmericanBuiltUSA.com, search for Andrew Gentry. You can order the shirt and support a cool company and Andrew Gentry. Now, anyone who follows college football knows that Michigan has one of the best defenses in college football, arguably probably the best. In fact, they were the number one rated defense in college football last season. They gave up the fewest yards per game, the fewest points per game, which when you're looking at the math, it's less than 10 points a game. And they yielded only 17 touchdowns over 15 games. Today, we're excited to have a member of that award-winning defense, Zeke Berry, number 10, join the Leaders in Next podcast. Zeke hails from the East Bay area of San Francisco, graduated from the prestigious De La Salle High School in 2022, where he was part of a program that played for the California State NorCal D1 state title each year he was in school. Zeke was clearly a big part of that success and was a four-star recruit, as one of the top safeties in the nation and one of the top 100 prospects at any position. He was named an All-American Bowl honoree, selected as the Defensive Player of the Year by the Bowl, and now he's a national champion. He's entering his third year at U of M as a two-time letterman. And if you watch the spring game, he got a lot of love from the announcers. Joel Klatt said, quote, "You can count on him being around the ball." And Wink Martindale, our new defensive coordinator, recently said, quote, "I think he's a stud." So we're looking forward to talking to Zeke today. And so Zeke, welcome to the Leaders in Next podcast.
Thank you for having me.
This is awesome. Yeah.
Yes, obviously you were one of the highest recruited players in the entire country coming out of high school. You had big-time Power 5 offers, including all the big schools out west, which half are now in the Big Ten, I guess. Mm-hmm. But we were reading about this, and one of the things we read, something you said, was that you felt like as a NorCal kid, you didn't get much recruiting respect. What do you mean by that?
I mean, coming out of Northern California and my whole process and the recruiting aspect, it was very slow at first. My sophomore year, I actually got my first offer in the summer going into my junior year. But from freshman to sophomore year, it started off slow. Didn't get any coaches looking at me as much. But as soon as my junior year came around and started playing a lot more and going out to camps and just showcasing my talent, after that, then it started to flow faster and had more coaches looking at me and getting more offers.
And originally offers came in. Originally you chose Arizona. What was that decision about?
It was the first visit that I took was to Arizona, and after going on the campus, they took me around the campus facilities, football facilities, and took me around classrooms too to see how we go into class. But just having a connection with the coaches that recruited me there, it being early in my recruiting process, I felt I had a tight bond with the coaches and I would want in a college that they provided, and they just took me in and show love.
It's a big decision, and obviously you ended up changing your mind and coming to Michigan. What caused you to change your mind? What was it that made Michigan ultimately the right place for you?
Well, Michigan didn't offer me late until my senior year, and I took a visit when they played Ohio State, and they took me around just like how Arizona did. Took me around the campus, took me around the football facilities, and when I was here, I connected with some of the players here, and then they just showed love and like took me in like I was already one of their players, like one of their teammates, and just the coaches, the academics that they had here, and it just felt like a hometown feel from where I'm from. So that
And
was ultimate.
you got to go to the game, I assume, the 2021 Michigan Ohio State game.
Oh, yeah.
What was
Zeke,
your thoughts? Yeah, like what was going through your head when you were watching that game?
I mean, first it was snowing, and
Yeah.
I didn't really know like that until I got here. But just to be able to see Big Ten football instead of Pac-12 was a big difference. I see how they play football down here and how locked in they were and for the preparation before the game. So I mean, I was just like, since I seen that, I was like, yeah, I want to be a part of that.
Now, was weather a big issue? I'm just curious, like, because Dan and I were at the game. We were actually on the field before the game, and the feeling was electric. And then it got crazy with the snow and this ice and stuff like that. Were you sitting there thinking, "Hey, man, I don't know about the weather though. This is a cool place," but because we lived in near where you went to high school for a bit, and the weather there is pretty good. Yeah, there's some snow up in the mountains, right? But I mean, it doesn't get that cold.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did that make you think like maybe I should stay out west, or didn't bother you?
I mean, thinking about it, the snow, yeah, it do get a little cold, but my ultimate goal after college, is to become like an NFL player, and you might never know where you get drafted. Like you might get to a place that has a lot of snow or a lot of heat. So
that's a good point. We've always said that, like, you could get drafted by the Packers, you could get drafted by the Bears, and you just you'll have to. And a lot of the playoff games are in January, so you gotta be ready.
So
adapt to it right now. Start later.
Now, we read also that when, and we hear this, it's interesting. You hear it actually from a lot of recruits. You said U of M had that home feel, and I'm sure it's a subjective measure. Like, what did they do on your visit to make you feel, or maybe through phone calls or text or whatever they did, to make it feel like, quote unquote, home for you?
Well, the connections with the coaches, with Coach Klingscale and Coach Bellamy. I mean, I talk to them on a regular basis. They called me every day just to check in on me, see how I'm doing. Didn't even have to talk about football. But also coming down here and seeing downtown Ann Arbor, it made me feel like, was it Berkeley? Actually, it made me feel like the same way from that. So that's what I thought.
You mentioned that the official visit was the guys that hosted you, that you interacted with on that visit, also just took you in, made you feel like part of the team. Who were some of the guys that hosted you when you were visiting?
I talked to Mikey Sanderstill. I talked to Rod and Makari. Those are the top three guys that took me in.
Man, awesome.
Just curious, we hear about official visits. What was the agenda for your official visit? They do anything fun?
We went out to dinner and ate a lot. We went bowling for a little bit.
Okay.
What else did we do? After dinner, they took me over their house just to see like where I would be living at, stuff like that.
Okay.
So, stuff like that was cool.
They have a good house. Mikey have a nice house at the time.
Yeah.
What any good? The recruiting visits, was Michigan's much different than any other of the visits you took, and if so, how was it different?
I mean, pretty much it was. I would say it was pretty much the same thing for every visit. Like, yeah, they're gonna take me around to see like where the campus is,
right,
where the buildings are and the facilities. But for Michigan, it was just something in me just felt like it was just like it was meant. Like it was meant to be here. To be honest.
Well, I think it is. That's true. You are meant to be here. Now, California is again, we talk about the weather, we're joking about it, but it's also a long way from home. I mean, and for a lot of guys, being closer to family or friends that can see you play, maybe a short car ride, but obviously California, Ann Arbor isn't a car ride for anybody. And we've not historically pulled a lot of guys out of California. How big a factor was the distance from home for you during your recruitment?
At first, it was a big thing being this far away from home, but after talking with my family and having a lot of conversations, but just to be able to come out here. I mean, they can still watch me play on TV anytime. They can still come out here it might take a little bit for a flight, but just the conversations that we had, like, it's okay. Like, you can still come back home whenever you have free time. So, I mean,
well, the good news is with the West Coast teams joining the Big Ten in the future, you could have some. I haven't looked at the future schedule, but you might have some games back in the California that are a little easier to get to for them. Well, it's interesting. I don't know. There aren't many guys from California on the roster right now. I think we got like, then we've had many of them on the show. I mean, we had Davis, Cam, Zach Marshall, and now you. So
is that our deep California roots, Dad? You think that just drew him in all 2 years I spent there as a kid?
Yeah. Well, I spent 4 years in total, but yeah, you're not much of a California kid, so so.
And Zeke, I hope we were at that Ohio State game too.
Oh, okay.
And hopefully you don't feel less of us, but both of us, at least one of us, may have cried tears of joy. So hopefully that doesn't make you think less.
Oh yeah. No, we was hyped out of the game.
We were on the field too, by the way, Zeke. We made it down to the field. We were down there.
Yeah,
and, we were there too. It was me, my mom, my brother. We was fighting to get to the other side. We had Coach Herb grab us and take us to the other locker room.
We did not have a Coach Herb escort. That would have been nice. We got stuck there a little longer than you, probably. But maybe everyone's reaction. I didn't know it was that big of a drop down on the field. That's the biggest brick wall that,
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, for those listening and are interested in rushing the field in future games, it's about a 7 foot, like from the top of the railing down to the ground is about 7 or 8 feet. So you're going to drop a little bit. And then getting out, there are no they block the stairway. So you got to climb back out. At least we had to. And that's not easy for an old man like me. So anyway.
Coach Herb escort though. That's
right.
That's premium.
You got it.
So when you're talking about the decision, how distance factored into your decision, you mentioned your family, some of the discussions you had with them kind of leading up to your decision to come to Michigan. Just kind of going back to just, your life before Michigan. Tell us more about your family.
It was me. It's about, how much I'll say, I believe 6 or 7 people live in the house. It's me, my mom, my brother, his girlfriend, my auntie, my uncle. And then we've been living in California all my life. I mean, when I went to De La Salle, and then after getting the offers, we talked pretty much about every school and to make sure that we made the right decision. So they've been with me, like, behind my back, supporting me through all these years. I mean, we're tight.
That's awesome. Have they gotten a chance to come out and see a game here at home? Awesome.
Yeah, they have.
Awesome. So you mentioned De La Salle in high school. We know you lettered in baseball, also ran track. Did you ever think about pursuing either of those sports into college, or did you know it was going to be football pretty early on?
It got close. I actually had played basketball too for a little bit, but then I stopped playing. But it was close between football and baseball. And when I got to my sophomore year, COVID came, and I remember playing the last game for a baseball game my sophomore year. And then after that happened, I stopped playing because football had got a lot more serious than the baseball had came at that time.
I think what's good is when you get drafted ultimately, and whatever city drafts you, they're going to make you throw the first pitch. You'll be in good shape. And I love our boy JJ. I saw he had a little bit of an issue at the Twins game, but hey, he can always come on the podcast, defend himself, But yeah, that'll serve you well when you get out and.
Dan, every guy we've talked to played basketball, and Tyler. We just had Tyler Morris on, and he named his basketball team, and he was Zeke. I assume you were a guard, right?
I was a point guard, actually.
So I have bad news for you, Zeke. Tyler Morris inserted himself as the starting point guard of the Michigan football basketball team. Okay.
We have to fight for that spot then.
Yeah, I mean, but he's right on the court. So maybe you can come off the bench in his mind, but
come off the bench.
We had a pretty funny moment with Tyler because we were talking about. So we were talking to Andrew Gentry. He played basketball a ton in high school. Was a pretty good basketball player, and so we were giving Tyler like, "Hey, could you guard Andrew?" He's like, "No, probably not," but he couldn't guard me either. So and I think his 5 was like, I can't remember. I think Alex Orji was on there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
He had I think he had Colston Loveland in there.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe Will as a shooter as like a wing. I can't remember. He just said Will had a good shot. So yeah. But no, I think we'll have to. We got to see. I think you should take him out for it.
Mm-hmm. He hasn't seen me play, but I guarantee I'll be in that top 5 next time.
That's awesome.
I like the confidence. Now,
yeah, it's good. Good.
Yeah, I was going to say, for those who don't know, De La Salle High School holds the national record for. They had a 151 game winning streak from 1992 to 2004. They were like the national championship in 7 different years, and there was a movie, 2014 movie, When the Game Stands Tall, was made about that streak. And there are several notable alumni from De La Salle that have U of M connections, like Devin Asiasi, who committed to U of M in 2016. He transferred after his freshman year to UCLA, and the Patriots took him in the 3rd round of the 2020 draft. Amani Toomer was at U of M from 92 to 95, top 5 in receiving yards at U of M, 2nd round pick by the Giants, and he was inducted into their Ring of Honor. And then Matt Gutierrez, part of that 151 unbeaten streak, and was slated to be the starter in 2004. Dan, we're actually at this game. He tore his labrum in practice, and then Dan and I are sitting in the stands, and everyone's excited about Matt Gutierrez. Never lost a game in high school. And we're thinking, okay, he's going to start. And we're sitting in the stands, now starting at quarterback for the University of Michigan, Chad Henne. It's like, what the hell just happened? And who knew Chad Henne? I mean, I knew Chad Henne was highly recruited, but Matt Gutierrez was like, this kid's never lost. But I think Matt went on and transferred to San Diego, South Dakota State, I think, and played in the pros, actually with the Patriots. But bottom line is, De La Salle is a huge program. Did playing for a program like that prepare you in your mind better than, like, as you look at the other kids in your class, guys in your class that went, didn't go to a school like De La Salle? Do you think you were better prepared for a program like Michigan?
I think that me going there to De La Salle has prepared me more for Michigan, for the next level. Having the workouts in the summer, just like how we do here. Having football for 7, spring ball, I had spring ball just like we do here, and just the how the coaches held us accountable on the football field. Watching film, make sure we're watching film, make sure we're training and everything. I feel like that had got me ready for the next level.
Interesting. Well, I know our strength and conditioning staff gets a lot of credit for helping prepare players to achieve their full potential. Talk to us a little bit about, your journey through our strength and conditioning when you first came in to where you are now. How is that program, and either the strength and conditioning, the nutrition? I know Abigail gets a lot of love from folks. I mean, kind of tell us a little bit about your experience and how they've helped you. You probably gained some weight and gained some strength throughout the last few years. What's it been like?
I mean, it's been good. I remember when I first came here, I believe I weighed 180, about 183, 184. And now I'm like 195. So I've gained a lot from that. But coming in, I feel like the first lift, I remember I seen all these guys lifting heavy weight. I'm just like, whoa, I can't do that. Like Coach Herb, Coach Tress, and everybody else on their staff, they got us right. Just training with them, making sure that we're doing the right things, and just gaining muscle and doing whatever we can to make sure we're ready for the season.
We were talking to some other guys about Tress and Herb. It was interesting. They're telling us about that there was certainly an intensity. There was a attention to detail that those guys were just maniacal about. But they also mentioned, like, they never made you feel out of place. And so regardless of, maybe your starting point was different, maybe you could, were closer to what their targets were, but they had a way to inspire you and motivate you, but not make you feel like crap, they like that you were behind and that you were an outcast of sorts. Was that your experience too? Like getting to know Tress and Herb, that, yeah, there was an expectation, there was an intensity about him, but that the plan was very much tailored and built for you to succeed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, when for our lift groups, we have different coaches for different groups, and I've always been in Coach Tress group ever since I've been here, and he's always held me accountable, and we would go at it when I would bench, or like when I would do like hand-to-hand row. We would just go at it, he would make sure like, yeah, like you gonna put that work in, like you gonna get it done. And just having that, just like encouragement with him is just making me a better person and a better football player.
So if there's one, defining lift that you have, pick whatever one that gets measured. Like, how have you improved? Like, I know a lot of fans love to talk about bench press, but I mean, I don't know if it's some other lift that you want to talk about. But you came from high school and your first lift was X. How much is it? Have you gotten 20% stronger, 30% stronger? You think?
Well, I'm gonna talk about bench because that's really what I. Okay, so for bench, we would have to do we would have to test for it. So I remember when I got here, we did bench. We had to do 225 for as many reps as you can. And when I first got here, I got 0. Like I didn't get 1 at all. And then now that I've been with them for a while, now we're doing 225 bench. I think I did it for max 9 or 10 for right now.
And 225 is what they do at the combine, right? I think that's the lift, right? So, okay. So you're benching more than your body weight, 8, 9, 10 times. Okay.
Yes.
I think because Coach Tress has a full head of hair, he's a little less. He comes off a little less scared of the average person than Ben Herbert with the bald head. But like, if you had to pick one defining characteristic or something, like what's kind of Tress's, what kind of defines him, or what maybe the first word that comes to mind, what would you say for Justin Tress?
Let me see. Coach Tress. Well, for me, he's always on me. So he would always make sure like I'm paying attention and I'm doing it to the detail that is up to my standard, and he I can do. So attention to detail, stuff like that. That's Coach Tress.
That's what we've heard about. So it's interesting. People have said about the transition from Herb to Tress, they bring that up, the attention to detail, but they also bring that up about the Harbaugh to Sharon. We ask, hey, what are some of the similarities? What are some of the differences? And people say one of the similarities is just the way we practice and the attention to detail has not changed. It's very similar to how Harbaugh ran things.
And it won't change. That's not going to be us forever.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's
awesome.
Work.
And that's the weight room, and obviously to get out into the field. I'm curious. You mentioned a little bit of a shock. You come in, you got guys who've been in Herbert's program for 4 or 5 years. You're seeing the weight that they're lifting.
Yeah.
What was it like putting the pads on the field for the first time? When you first went out and practiced, what was that like? And were there any kind of welcome to Michigan moments that you experienced when you first put the pads on?
Well, I've noticed I'm not the biggest on the field anymore coming out of high school, and the speed had changed a lot. Guarding people like Roman Wilson, Ronnie Bell, like all them guys. Do I have a welcome to Michigan moment? I would say probably taking on a lineman from blitz, and probably who was it? I'm blanking on the name, but I remember I had a blitz coming off the edge, and I had a guard pull. I can't remember his name, but he woke me up a little bit. That one.
Yeah. I assume that means woke you up as you ended up on your butt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, he outweighed you by 100 pounds, so I mean, it's almost not fair.
Yeah.
But that's life in Big Ten football, I guess. So it's
that's great. Yeah, and so it's you came into Michigan, but for all that, you had a huge impact on a team that won the national championship, which I hope you're proud of, and and that season saw you play both, in the secondary as well as special teams. Coming out of high school, there was a little bit of debate, I suppose, about whether you would play safety or whether you would play something like nickel, at the next level for this upcoming. And we saw a lot. Just then that's been one of the highlights about you, is people talk about your versatility. You're willing to come down, tackle, play coverage. One of the reasons people are just so excited about what you'll do, taking on even a bigger role in 2024. Where should fans expect to see you most in terms of playing position in this upcoming season?
I would say expect me to be playing both positions, safety and nickel. I'm not sure where I'm going to be playing the most at, but I know I'm going to be playing both positions. And, Transferring from safety to a nickel. I mean, I've been asked to cover a lot, but that's something that I like to do. I'm willing to do either. Just like you said, either come down in the box, hit, cover, no matter what the job is. I'm willing to get it done.
I know you play in two positions. People were always enamored when Mikey Sainristil made the transition from offense to defense, but even on defense, we've seen guys with the old defense and now with Wink have to be super versatile and play different positions, come in and cover, slide back and play safety. When you're playing both, is that double the preparation? How do you do that? Do you have to attend double the meetings, watch double the film? I'm just curious, that seems like the techniques aren't necessarily completely different, but my guess is they're at least somewhat different. How does that change kind of how much prep you have to put in to get ready for game days?
It changes a little bit more, having to stay after meetings and going over the game plan for both positions, not too bad on the responsibilities for both positions, but, it does take an extra hour or two just to go over for a game plan, whether it's for nickel or for safety.
We saw under Harbaugh, one of the common themes was there was a lot of starters that had pretty significant roles in special teams. I remember Cornelius Johnson would always be blocking punts, but then he'd also be the starting receiver. Do you foresee that you'll keep contributing on special teams as well?
Oh yeah, I actually talked to Coach JB. That's now the special teams coach. I was like, I don't want to come on special teams. This is what I want. Just coming when I went to De La Salle, they always talked about special teams. So I had what was it? I was on kickoff actually, and then after that, I just began to play it more and more and more in high school, and then it just translated into college, and I just grown to love it.
It's interesting. A lot of fans get really nervous when they see the starters out on special teams because they're worried, oh man, the guy's going to get hurt, and it's but they can also. That's a critical phase of the game. So, it's interesting to hear you say you want to be on special teams. Now, one of the things that you haven't mentioned yet is that, you threw a touchdown pass in high school, I believe.
Yeah.
Our crack research team, and you actually completed 3 passes according to the stats in high school for 141 yards and 1 touchdown, which has to be a great passer rating. Is there any chance we're going to see you play offense? I know they're talking about Will Johnson, kind of going over. We're going to see you join the quarterback room occasionally, or you're going to split out, or is it top secret?
I don't know. It could happen. It could not, but we'll see what happens later.
How about kickoff return? I know you did kickoff return, like you're saying.
I've been catching some punts and some kickoffs recently for the past couple of weeks of practice we've been having.
You were on kick coverage last year, correct?
Yeah.
But you're looking at punt returns as well, possibly?
Yes, both.
That's awesome.
So just out of curiosity, we talked about this in another episode, but when they're killing time on a TV timeout and they got that Meyer punt kicking thing where they get some drunk student out of the stands to try to catch 3 punts.
Yeah.
Do you ever watch that and think about how you might coach them up, or you sit there?
Yeah, I look at them and I'm like, you just judged the ball totally wrong.
Yeah,
I don't know how you dropped that.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes that machine though malfunctions and it goes 10 yards and then one goes 50 yards. But yeah, I think most fans may not appreciate how hard it is to catch a punt, especially when you have a bunch of guys running at you.
Yeah.
That'll be fun to see.
Contestants. I mean, it could also be a combination of the fireball and the overalls. That's I assume that's also a contributing factor, but just be me.
These are serious students. I'm sure those students were all practicing.
Mm-hmm.
So you had a great spring game, as I alluded to earlier. The announcers were like, and I don't know how much you listen to this, and I know sometimes you have to kind of probably drown out social media because there's both good and really crazy stuff. But Coach Moore said you were peaking at the right time. When he was talking to Joel Klatt. How's that? If assuming you did hear that, how's that make you feel when Coach Moore says something like that?
I mean, it makes me feel good. All the hard work and all the time that I've put in the off season is finally coming out and showing people hey, I'm finally ready to come out and do what I can do for this team.
Right. Now,
You got
speaking
another
of
one.
the spring game,
I was
you
just
know,
curious before you go into the spring
yeah.
games. I know we got some good ones there. There was another guy who recently had a quote about you. That was Will Johnson, who said you're playing at an All-American level, that you were on track to perform at an All-American level at Michigan. When you hear a guy like Will say that, what do you think? What goes through your mind?
It makes me feel good. I mean, a guy like Will, you know, the type of seasons he's even having, to hear that come from his mouth and him say those words, I mean, it makes me feel good because, you know, like I want to be aside him and play next to him and, you know, lock some stuff up with him.
Yeah, it probably feels good. My guess there's a lot of trust as you whether you're playing safety or whether you're playing nickel. There's a lot of trust in that, you know, in the back end of the defense that, you know, everyone's where they should be, and to have a guy, I'm guessing it feels pretty good to have a guy give you that type of accolade, give you that type of affirmation. Because my guess it also helps you know, be a better player and just know that there's that trust there with your teammate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does for sure.
Like you got a lot of praise, and had a great spring game, but unfortunately, you were on the losing side of the spring game, and that stings a little bit. And it also results in you having a hot dog instead of steak after the game.
Yeah.
Now, can you walk the listeners through? We've talked about this, but, you know, like take us under, you know, inside Schembechler. How does this thing work? Is it like a walk of shame? It sounds like it's a walk of shame where you guys get like a little to-go bag with a hot dog in it and gotta leave, and the other guys get to sit around and enjoy a steak from Chop House.
Yeah.
Is that close? Is that what happens?
Yeah. Actually, after we get done with the game, then the next day we come back, and then they have the hot dogs right in front of our lockers. So they just put it on the table, and you can grab and go, and then all the guys that won, they go up the stairs, go in the cafeteria, and just eat steak and just chill.
I've also heard that the guys who get the steak, the winners, can also double back and get hot dogs. They actually get the double dip.
Yeah.
That's also
can.
tough. That's tough to see.
Yeah.
What are you a hot dog guy?
No, I wasn't that day. No.
That's a good answer. And obviously the much debated question, is a hot dog a sandwich? What's your take on that? Because the world's divided. That's a big question.
Yeah, this is.
I believe that if you turned it, it could be, but if you didn't, I don't think it's a sandwich.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha. So you got buns on top, like you were eating it sideways?
Yeah.
See, that's a good take.
Well, that's a good answer. That's different.
Thinking outside the box.
Yeah. Well, I'm just curious. You know, you guys are all on the same team, but was there some interesting trash talk back and forth between the two teams after the game?
The sidelines, yeah. People were talking trash to each other, just joking around.
Yeah.
On the field, not really. Not really at all.
That was fun. It was fun to watch, and it was like actually a real football game versus some of the other schools, which we're not going to mention their names, didn't really play football. I don't know what they called it, spring football, but it was like spring tag. I don't know. Now, when you arrived at Michigan, there were some talented guys on the depth chart, you know, and as one of the best players coming out of high school, is it, you know, in today's world, everyone wants to kind of play right away. How hard was it for you to wait until your number was called?
I mean, it was hard, you know, just like you said, it was a top guy coming out of high school, and then I come into college and see all these top guys, you know, it's been working and putting all the extra time in to do what they can do. It was hard sitting behind some of the guys, but it was also a good thing for me to sit back and like pick these guys' brains and learn the game of football and like just pick up some things from them.
Now, you know, in today's world where we basically have free agency with the portal and all that good stuff, you know, which I think is, you know, I don't have an issue with it. Just there's some probably unintended consequences of it. But I mean, so it's easy for guys just to say, screw it, I'm out of here. Right. You know, I didn't want to, what has kept you at Michigan waiting your turn?
What's kept me was the coaches and the players and also the saying, you know, those who stay will be champions. So I just kept my head down, do what I had to do, get better each and every day. And I just know eventually my number will be called.
And you stayed, and you are quite literally a champion.
Yes,
So
sir.
that's good that it worked out.
Yeah.
What this is going to be kind of a hard question, maybe not even that fair of a question, but the defense has been so special. And Michigan's had a long history of good defense, but it reached a new level kind of in 2021, and then it really reached like an incredibly, extreme level in 2023. What makes the defense so special in your opinion? Is it particular drills that you guys do? We've heard about things like the Beat Ohio drill to sort of instill, that sort of offense defense mentality around, things that are done ahead of the game to beat teams like Ohio State, for example. But what's your read on like what makes the defense so special at Michigan, especially over these last few years?
I would say the drills help us, but not only is it the drills, but I would say it's the connection, from player to player. We're with each other every single day. We just talk with each other, and we have meetings on our own. We don't even have coaches with us in meetings, so we can just make sure that we're on top of things and clean some things up. But just having a relationship with each and every player on the defense is going to make us stronger.
Now, every other school probably says, their guys probably say they do that too. But why do you think it happens at Michigan? Was it led by any particular people that instilled that? Was it a player-led thing? Was it a coach-led thing? Or is it in recruiting, they're selecting people they know will gel with everyone?
Well, I'm not really sure, but I mean, the activities that we did, it was the meetings that we had. It was player-led. We didn't have any coaches there. We would go out to dinner. We would either bring coaches or just have our little own thing, just as players, just to, create that bond. But
sure,
that was probably a big thing.
Yeah, even just from the TV, which is hard, because we all see your world for 3.5 hours once a week, 15 times a year, which is like such a microscope version of all the work you actually put in to get there. But I do remember watching the game, especially at Columbus when you beat Ohio State on the road, and then some of the games in 2023. You could see the difference. You could see how much the players wanted it. You could see Mike Sainer still standing up on the bench and saying, "Hey, it's now or never." And then obviously moments throughout all last season with the distractions and how the team handled it, went into Penn State, kicked some ass, all that good stuff. It was almost one of the things where it was so real that even if you just turn the TV on for 3 hours, you're like, wow, there's something different about this team and the teams I've been watching for the last 35 years to some degree. And I think Mike Sainer's still a big part of that. And a lot of people will, he'll be people's favorite Wolverine for a while. People see a lot of your game in him, and part of it's just how good and willing of a tackler you are, which I think some people immediately just say that's about being tough. But I think it's about being tough and being very instinctive, knowing where the play is going to be. People have said that a lot about you in terms of his ability to read offenses, your ability to read offenses. Is that a fair comparison, at least in that part of your game? And is he one of those guys that you mentioned you learned a lot from? Are there some things that you picked up from Mikey as he obviously was there, last couple of years and then went to the NFL?
Oh yeah, for sure. He's one of the guys that's helping me out a lot. If I had questions with either reading the offense, or helping out with understanding the defense a lot more, he was the guy that I went to. Hey, what do I do here? Or when you see this, what do you think is coming? He just took me under his wing, and we were just connected and just kept talking about football or whatever it was, and he just helped me out a lot.
Now, we all know he's going to be super hard to replace from a leadership perspective, but I think certainly you have a chance to do that. Recently, our secondary coach, Coach Morgan, said, quote, "I think Zeke Berry is going to be a unique player for us this year. Still young and still got to develop him, but he has a lot of those traits," and he was referring to leadership traits. What do you think your best traits are, either on the field or as a leader?
I'm not an outspoken leader,
Okay.
But, whenever I go to the sideline with the guys after we do a rep, I talk to them quietly, hey, come on, let's talk about this, or hey, let's give some ball punches, or let's get a pick or something like that. I just do stuff like that, and I feel like that fires us up and makes us do better.
That's fair. Now that the spring game is over, and you have, officially fall practice doesn't probably start until August 1st, right around August 1st or so. But I know you guys are back. I mean, curious, what's your off-season schedule look like? I mean, I know you and I talked a little earlier. You stayed in Ann Arbor for the most part. You might have been, I don't know, were you one of the 100 guys from the team that went to Cancun? Because I saw like every social media post for about a week. You guys were in Cancun, but I mean, just curious.
You don't have to answer Cancun-related questions here, to be clear. It's a safe space, but we understand if you need to. Did
Cancun? Did you take summer classes? I know some guys, a lot of guys taking classes. Some of the guys I saw Empower internships. Some people went on some internships. I'm just curious, what did your summer schedule look like so far?
Well, so far, I've been taking summer classes and doing football. We've been having lifts early in the morning. Then after that, we had class right after. This last week was my last week of class, and going on into July, I believe the second week of July is when I'm starting my first internship.
What are you doing? What internship are you doing?
I'm doing a real estate internship with Matt Lester.
Nice. Well, sounds like a lot of the football guys you saw. You figured out who Stephen Ross was. And you found out that Stephen Ross is like a billionaire, and he got it through real estate. So it says, "Man, that sounds pretty good. Maybe I'll do real estate."
Try that out. See what's happening over there.
Yeah, that's
that's really impressive. Yeah, and we may have already covered this too a little bit, but we have heard a lot of I was mentioning kind of that from the outside looking in, people have heard a lot about the culture inside of Schembechler Hall, the culture of the team, how tight knit it is, how player led it is. It's hard to probably put culture into a box, and explain it to somebody. But if you did have to explain it to somebody that was outside the program, wasn't in the halls with you, and I think a lot of it was evidenced by we have a pretty good season in 2022, didn't accomplish all the goals, and then all the team comes back, make another run at it, and then kind of similar this year. Yeah, guys went to the NFL, but pretty much everyone who could stay, you did stay for the most part. And so I think that's emblematic of that culture. But yeah, if you could put that into a box, do the best you could to describe that culture to someone who's not there, how would you do it?
For us and how the players treat each other, I would say that everybody wants to bring the best out of one another. So it don't matter if we're in the weight room, if we're out there on the field for practice, or even if we're out there on the field just doing extra work. We're going to make sure that you're doing the best that you can do and hold you accountable at the highest standard, because we know that everybody can help benefit this team, and just make sure that they're being great at everything that they do, not only just football, but also for school or just being a better person.
What a great way to approach life. I mean, hearing you say that, I think, we're older dudes, and that's missing from companies, that's missing from families. I just think that's the fact that you can learn that, put it into practice, have that bond with people. It's incredible. It'll make a difference for you now in the NFL, and then whatever you decide to do after.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. What's the key? As Dan mentioned, we lost a lot of guys to the NFL, which is symbol of obviously great talent and great success. What's the key? A lot of them were, I'm sure, locker room leaders. What's the key to keeping things going? I mean, you reach the top of the mountain. Sometimes it's easy to exhale and say, okay, we won the natty, but team 145, wants to make their stamp. But so what do you think the key is to keeping it going, so that you can, potentially do it again?
After the guys leaving and going to the NFL, they had a standard that we had to follow. So after them leaving, the standard hasn't changed, and it's going to be the same. And everybody on the team knows that this is the standard. This is what we have to do each and every day to be where we want to be, and that's national champions.
No, that's great. We the podcast. We started this because we think NIL is a good thing. And you guys generate a lot of revenue for the program. And so it's great that there's compensation now related to that. We recently saw that, Champion Circle, for those listening, Champion Circle is the largest collective. There's several collectives, but I mean, it's the largest one that supports Michigan athletics. And they recently posted on social media that they had signed, quote unquote, signed you, and I know you don't have to give us details, but I mean, what does that exactly mean for you to be signed by Champion Circle?
I mean, when I had got the call, it meant a lot. Just to have the support from not only like the football guys and the coaches, but like the alums, the fans, and everything like that. It just made me feel good and better about like, okay, if I can do better next time, then maybe it would be even a better chance for me to get even a better NIL deal.
Now, I assume, in exchange for partnering with champions, you've got some obligations. You probably got to make some public appearances, or can you share with us at a high level? Again, we're not looking for you to tell us they're paying me X. That's nobody's business. But I'm just curious, like what will you have to do for champions throughout the season?
I believe last week I just had a little signing thing I had to do.
Yeah.
And I believe I'm gonna have more of the signing events and probably some media appearances.
Okay.
I haven't really looked into it too much, but some stuff like that.
Now, when you were a kid, did you practice? Did you pretend like signing? Someday I'm going to be signing stuff. Did you practice your signature?
Yeah, in high school, my senior year of high school, I already started.
Was it good? Like, do you turn the paper? Like, is it cursive or is it like are you just printing it?
It's cursive in a way, I would say.
Like nobody. Like, I'm surprised cursive hasn't just.
He's going to stand out though. That's what makes it cool.
Yeah.
Also, so you obviously wear number 10.
Mm.
Another famous guy wore number 10 here, Tom Brady. I think there could be like maybe a little NIL collab in that where Brady to Berry and you guys bond over the shared number 10-ness. What do you think?
Oh, yeah. I would like it.
Yeah.
I would like I don't know if people want.
Hey, Tom Brady, Tom Brady. You heard it here first. Tom, give us a call.
I don't have his number directly. I got Giselle, but I'll give her.
Yeah, you got. Yeah, right, right. What other? We're talking about just at a high level. What do you have any other NIL deals like in the works these days?
No. The collective is the only one that I have.
Gotcha. Okay.
Until we get a hold of Tom Brady. You're talking about some of the coaches. One of the guys who recruited you for, but was been around. So Coach Bellamy. But there's been some other, changes, obviously, as there is in any college. But I'm curious with Coach. Now you've a lot of characters in a good way. Like you obviously had Harbaugh. Now we've got Wink. We'd love to hear if you've got a favorite story about a Michigan coach that you've worked with that you'd like to share.
A favorite story. I would just say for the meeting room with Coach Klink, just him being goofy and telling jokes when he was in the meeting room, and just having a good time. Most of the time we were in meetings, it was serious, but he would lighten the mood, play some music in the meetings just to lighten the mood a little bit and just loosen up a little bit and have fun.
That's great. We've heard from sources that the music may be one of the things that has changed from Coach Harbaugh to Coach Moore. Any reactions to that? In your opinion, has music at practice gotten better?
I would say it depends on the day. It depends on the day. The music has gotten a little bit better, but it just depends on.
Harbaugh's gone now, so I mean, like I know you could get drafted by him, but I mean, it's okay to say that you didn't like the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald music.
I mean, he played some music that was pretty good and got us all hyped in a couple of days.
Okay.
All the stuff wasn't bad that he played.
That's incredible.
So, back to, Michigan, obviously you're spending a lot of time playing football, but you're also like expected to go to class, right? Yeah. And so not only you're playing for national champion, but, you're attending one of the top academic schools in the country. Most students, again, Dan and I are alumni, not football players. It was a grind at Michigan, and most students are like, they go to class, they study, they nap, they go out to party, and they just do this every week, and they're not having the schedule you have. How would you describe, what would people who aren't student athletes need to understand about your full-time job as a student athlete? I mean, maybe you could describe a day in season of what you have to do to balance both of those.
Okay. So in the season, for me, my schedule, so I always had class in the morning. So I would wake up earlier for football, football lifts in the morning, and I believe I had class at 8:30, so I had it around like 6:30 or 7. So I have to wake up.
So 6:30, you had to be at Schembechler for a lift, which means you're getting up at like maybe 5:45.
Yeah, pretty early. Early. I had to wake up, and then after the lift, I would have to go to class from 8:30 to 12. Then after class, I would get to the facility, have meetings around like 1:15, and then from 1:15 to about 3 or 3:30, we would get out and then have practice around like 4:30, and then have practice from 4:30 to I would say 6. I believe, and then after that, I would have tutoring, a study table. So after that, I would go to study tables from about 7 to 8 or 9. And then after that, I would finally get home and then watch some film or do some extra homework that I need to do, study for a test or whatever I had to do. So it's a long day.
I mean, it's an incredible schedule and shows a lot of discipline, and to be able to do that is admirable. What, just curious, what are you currently studying?
I'm going into communications.
Okay. And then, you mentioned, real estate internship this summer, but, once your NFL career is over, hopefully a long one, what do you, right now, what are you thinking in terms of professions that you would like to consider going into?
I would want to go into real estate. It's something that interests me, and I want to just learn more about it. So that's why I wanted to do this internship. But I would say real estate.
And I'm just curious, how did you find that internship?
They had sent out a message in the, what is it? We have a little, I got a message on my phone actually from the little text.
Okay.
Yeah. And they sent out a message and I was like, I want to try it. So I signed up for it. Then I got an email saying that I got picked to be in it. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the dude who built the business school did pretty good. So that guy did all right. You're talking about recruiting and some of the schools. You mentioned some of the decision-making process with your family about what school you would go to. Part of that conversation was around academics and, going to a school where you could be, and we're biased, but I think Michigan is there in this, which is like they are elite athletically, they're elite academically. What kind of drove that? I'm just curious. You obviously had to do that. There must have been, you had a passion, your family had a passion to, pursue something very rigorous on the academic side. Kind of, how did that come to be?
I would say because all the offers that I have had, me and my family's had conversations about it, whether it's football or academics. But coming here and seeing how it was and the connections that you can make outside football with academics and the people that has gone through here, all the alumni that they have, and just seeing that was the big factor of me in picking the decision to come here.
That's it's great. Well, I think it's time for our 2-minute drill. We're almost
bringing home with the 2-minute drill. Zeke,
yeah.
This is going to be. We'll throw some questions out at you. Yeah, we got a couple lined up, but we might ad lib. You never know.
All right.
We've turned the 2-minute drill. It's been 14 minutes. Been like 17 minutes. We joke. We'll figure it out. But question number 1: if it wasn't football, what sport would you most like to go professional in?
Baseball.
Who's your favorite baseball player?
Favorite baseball player? Probably Barry Bonds.
That actually makes Bay Area. Got 71 homers.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, I'm just curious, why baseball? Man, baseball looks like a grind. You got 180 games, 181, right?
62, yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's like, that's a lot of work. But you just liked it in high school, or is it like, is the pay good?
I mean, I've been playing it since I was little.
Okay.
I remember I started playing when I was 6 or 7, and I've just been playing it all the way up until high school. So I would probably
break down Zeke Berry's baseball game for us. We got to know. So in the football field, versatile, tough, fast, aggressive. Yeah. Break down Zeke Berry, the baseball player. What do we got going on there?
Well, I was a center fielder, so I would say fast. I can track the ball good. I can throw you out at any play. Doesn't matter. Try and run and throw you out. Batted cleanup, 4th, so I can hit pretty good.
Oh.
And How many bases have I stole? I stole too many bases to remember, but I'm gonna steal on you. I'm gonna steal.
See, this is what we gotta. Now we gotta talk some trash on Zeke's behalf to the next guest, which is like he could be the point guard on the Michigan all starting 5 team. It's also going to be hitting in the 4 spot on the Michigan all baseball team. I'm not sure where anyone else can hold. Can anyone else get close to that, Zeke? Like, can anyone else be on the starting 5 and in the lineup on baseball?
Starting 5 and baseball. Only person I can think of would be Joe T. I would say Joe Taylor. Yeah.
No, one of Davis's roommates, right? You know, the former walk-on house. It's now all That's good. So, other than you,
home run derby, by the way, Zeke versus Joe. Yeah, we'll get that set up.
We got to do it.
There you go. So, other than you, who should the fans be on the lookout in terms of someone breaking out this coming season? Now, by the way, shout out to a fellow California, Zach Marshall, named, when asked this question, Zach said Zeke Berry.
Mm-hmm.
So who's your vote for somebody that the fans should be on the lookout for?
I got a couple. I'm gonna say Zach, because that guy is an incredible worker. Whenever he comes to the facility, he's ready to work on point all the time. I'm gonna say Zach. I'm gonna say Cam Brandt. Fred, he gonna have a good season. I know he is.
So the first 2 are from California. You're not just saying they're going to break out because they're fellow Californians, right?
Oh no.
Okay, all right.
These guys are studs.
Now, by the way, do you call Zach? You call him Smiley, right?
No, I call him Z Marsh.
Oh, okay, because he said his nickname. Initially they were going to call him.
Guys do call him Smiley. He always be smiling.
Yeah. Okay.
I also have a feeling that Zach said Zeke was his breakout player. I have a feeling like some practice collisions may have ingrained that in him. Is that maybe true?
Yeah, me and Z Marsh have been going at it. We had some times where we've been going at it on the football field for practice. So
I know it's iron. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like Zach is, we had a lot of fun talking to him. The good news is, from a weight class standpoint, he's like 215, he said, or something like that. I don't know what he's up to now. But that's probably a lot better than running into a guard, an interior lineman.
Yeah.
So, but anyway.
What's your top place to eat in town in Ann Arbor?
Chipotle. I'll probably say Chipotle. I mean,
if money wasn't an option, because Chipotle is, that obviously that's a more budget friendly than some other restaurants. But if after you get your signing bonus from the NFL and you're back in Ann Arbor, where you want to eat?
There's probably 2 places. One is Black Rock, and the second one is a Mexican spot, Chapala. Those places are my top 2 places.
Oh, interesting. Okay. All right. Those are both new, Dan. We haven't had those. I mean, I know where they are.
We've gotten a lot of Chipotle.
Chipotle. Chipotle. No, we got that. What, aside from, what are your favorite consumer brands? Like, either restaurants or services you use, favorite shops to visit in Ann Arbor, that kind of thing.
I don't know. I don't really. I can.
Maybe like the Mercedes dealership. You want to like?
Yeah, I've gone over there a couple of times.
You have? You've gone to like window shopping?
Yeah, just looking at
test drive.
Just looking at it. Yeah, I guess.
How about if you could get one NIL deal? Like if you could get any NIL deal in the world, like do a partnership with someone, who would it be?
Probably with Jordan.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Seeing as I think Caitlin Clark just got a $22 million Nike deal, so
yeah,
pretty cool.
Yeah, it is.
That's pretty cool.
That's good money.
Yeah, it's all right.
So,
not when you got Giselle's number in your phone, apparently.
Okay, yeah. If you were on America's Got Talent, what's your hidden talent that other we see you play in football and clearly baseball and stealing bases is a talent. What's your America's Got Talent?
Oh, I don't know if I have one, but I don't know if I would go in there. I would probably try to sing. I wouldn't be good. I would try to use auto tune or something, but I'll try that.
You might. Well, so we got
You're going where I'm going. Yeah.
Zach Marshall says he's a great singer. Cam Brandt said he was a big singer. You guys could form a band. But the other one is, you've seen, I assume you saw like the Hard Knock stuff with Aiden Hutchinson having to sing Billie Jean.
Yeah.
So you need to start thinking about working on your rookie talent thing.
I do. But
you've got a little bit of time. You can work on that singing thing.
Yeah, you went through your schedule earlier. It seemed like you probably have a lot of time just to work on just randomly singing around the house. Yeah.
So you said you weren't maybe a singer and you use auto tune. There's probably somebody either in practice or in the locker room that's always singing something and is terrible though.
Terrible.
Who's the worst?
You're going there with that. I think.
Yeah. I'm just like, who's the guy that starts belting out stuff that you're sitting there going, hey man, you cannot sing.
Do we have one?
Man, we have a lot of talent then. If we got good singers, good football players.
The only guys that really sing is like they're pretty good at like Raheem. He's pretty good at singing. Samaj Morgan's pretty good at singing.
Okay.
There's only a couple guys that I hear singing that are actually pretty
okay.
good.
All right.
I don't have anybody that can't really sing that actually starts singing.
Yeah. Okay. There was a clip on the Michigan social media page as guys were coming off the practice field. They asked him, "What's your favorite movie? What's your favorite sports movie?
Mm-hmm.
What's your favorite sports movie?"
When the Game Stands Tall.
There we go. That's about his high school. I mean, 2014, movie came out. People ought to see it. I mean, to win 151 straight football games, I don't care who you're playing. I mean, they weren't all lower level teams. I mean, that's an incredible story. And by the way, nobody mentioned it. Not even the California guys.
Yeah.
They should be ashamed. Yeah. This was on my chest earlier. I just need to get it off now. How crazy was it that Matt Gutierrez was bald as a college freshman? You remember that? Dude was bald. Dude was shaved bald.
I just remember. I just remember thinking it was crazy they never lost a game in high school. I didn't really focus on his hairline.
I had met him when I played 7-on-7. He was actually.
Yeah. Was he bald?
Yeah, I think he still was.
He worked for him. He just play the hits, baby.
Yeah.
So fans like you guys always. There's always somebody putting a mic in your face asking you things about like who's the strongest or who's this, but. If they asked you who's the best athlete on the team, like just however you want to define athlete, maybe not the strongest or fastest, but just in your mind, like you go like, man, he's a crazy athlete.
Other than Zeke Berry.
Yeah, other than me, I would say Kenneth Grant. He's probably the way he can move at the size he is and make plays. I would say him for sure.
Well, if fans, when we were talking to Cam Brandt about the Penn State game, and then the viral clip that we put up there, one of them is showing that play where Grant chases down that Penn State running back, which is an incredible play. It's like, this is crazy. Some dude's 300 pounds or whatever more. Well, he's more than that. Chasing down that guy, that was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff.
Other than Chipotle in Ann Arbor, well, no, I should say other than Cancun. Well, actually, let's hear your wide open answer. What's the favorite place? What is your favorite place that you visited?
That I visited. I haven't been to too many places, but I would probably say the Bahamas.
Solid choice.
That's a good spot.
That's good water. Yeah.
Give it a couple years. Love of the team in the Big Ten too at some point. At the rate we're going, we got LA.
Well, hey Zeke, this has been a lot of fun, man. Appreciate it. I think hopefully fans, they're going to see number 10 out in the field making plays for, again, one of the nation's, if not the number one defense again. And it's exciting to see. And it's fun hearing your guys' story because, again, people see such a short glimpse. They see most of the fans, they go to the stadium, they got 3 hours and they watch you guys. The amount of work that goes into this and how difficult it is to be a student athlete in today's world, I think is not meant that people appreciate. So we appreciate you taking us inside that story and because you guys are more than just football players, and it's a lot of work to balance all that. So again, congratulations on being a national champion. And again, really appreciate you sharing your story. So, so folks,
and we also know Team 145 is kind of like you were saying, they're creating their own. They got Team 144, which accomplished so much you were part of, and then Team 145, which is ready to blaze a new trail. You'll be a huge part of that, and can't wait to see it. And there are a lot of players that get preseason buzz and preseason hype. You're obviously one of them, but even just watching what was a small sample in the spring game and just hearing guys like Will talk about you, guys like Wink, guys like Coach Morgan, it's going to be a special season. We can't wait to see it on the field, man. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, so thanks again to American Built USA for sponsoring the episode, and hopefully everyone follows us on social media. It's pretty easy to find us. It's just Leaders in Next. Thanks again. See you next time. Take care.
Thanks, y'all.